this is Ginger. Thanks for being here. I am so excited that you're here to paint the white church. And before we get started, I just want to share a couple of things with you. This is my first video, so if there's any feedback you could give me, I would really appreciate it. A couple of things that you would need to have to be able to do this painting. I use paper towels or some type of rag because we're going to be using a palette knife, and it's always good to wipe off your palette knife whenever you're changing paint colors. I also use, it's kind of like wax paper. This is actually the sticker that I use for my shipping labels, but if you don't have something like this, you can use, I see a lot of people using paper plates or anything like that. But I have a problem with something that has edges that come up on the sides, like a bowl or something like that, or a plate, because when you use a palette knife, you want to be able to scrape flat. So that's really important to me. That's why I use this. It's just a board, and I usually tape this on here, and then I can just take it off. Some people cover it with foil, whatever it is you want to do for a palette. You need water. You need a bucket of water, some type of water holder. It could be a cup, a coffee cup, anything like that. It's also good to have two water containers, one to clean your brush in and one to wet your brush, because you don't want to use a paintbrush that you're getting ready to use. You don't want to use that new paintbrush in dirty water to get paint. So if you want to wet your paintbrush first, that's always a good thing to do before you start painting. So what are we going to need? We're going to need a palette knife. This one is, it says 1013 Canada, or Conda, C-O-N-D-A on it. I mean, it's no special kind. It's just a regular palette knife. If you notice back here, I have a ton of palette knives. You don't need all of those. We're just going to start with a basic. This is one of the most basic palette knives that you could have. If you have a plastic one, that's fine. I do use plastic sometimes because they bend easier than your metal ones do. Paintbrushes. So the only paintbrushes that you will need that I have here is a number 0. It doesn't even have to be a 0. It could be anything that has like kind of like a really, if you look at it, it's like a really thin point. You can see these are different. This one's 10/0, 10/0, and this one's just 0, and this one is a number 2. So any sizes around here will work perfectly. So those are the paintbrushes that we are going to need, and that's the only tools that you will need. Also, something, if you're anything like me, something that you can throw away to wear. I like to wear white. I don't know why. I usually end up wearing white whenever I paint. And that's about it. So let's get started. It's a piece of wood. It's 12 inches by 5.5 to 6 inches wide. And so I'm starting with just a plain piece of wood that's been stained. And this is my palette. Basically what it is just a shiny piece of like wax paper that I use to put my paint on. It's called Provincial Blue, and it's actually a chalk paint, but I don't use it by itself, so it doesn't actually finish like chalk. I'm just really using it because of the color. The green that I have right here is just a regular green. It's called Classic Green. And then I had some light gray on the side of it, and I'm actually going to put some more light gray because I'm going to need it right here. And this is just a regular cheap paint that I have. Craftsmart. It's like really cheap paint. I have black and gold and a darker gray. So those are my base colors. And if you notice on the painting that we're doing, the top part is like blue and gray and white, and then the bottom is the green, and then the middle is the white. So I'll show you how I'm going to start that off. I'm actually start by taking this board. I'm going to take my palette knife that I use for spreading, and I'm going to spread some white first. And basically I'm icing a cake in a way. I'm going to pick up some blue because I want it to have like a blue sky, but that's too much blue. And I'm going to pick up some more white because I want it to be just a really, really light blue. Okay, then I'm going to take my paintbrush. I use my paintbrushes more than I do the palette knife because I can like kind of draw with a paintbrush where I can't really draw with a palette knife. Alright, so I'm looking at my other painting and I'm going to try to just kind of give myself a guide. So what I did was I dipped my paintbrush in like a little bit of gray and white, since I know that's the colors that I'm going to end up using in these areas. So I'm just kind of drawing it out. See, I already went too high because the cross has to go up there too. So see how easy it is to fix that? Alright, so let's not go quite so high with that part, and then I'll come here and here. This is going to be the steeple of the church. Let's see, I'm going to go there. And this is going to come all the way down. This is going to come all the way down. This is going to come all the way down. And then about even with this side, we're going to go straight across here. And then I'm going to come down for, I'm trying to make like the roof. Come down with the roof here. It kind of gives me a guide. Okay, and we're going to go about this far. Alright, so that's my outline for my church. Now, I do not want of where everything is going to go. Alright, so I'm going to come back with white. I'm going to put as much white as I can to hide all that blue. And I have some blue on my palette knife, so I'm going to clean it off with this old rag that I've been using. I'm about to have to throw it away. I'm going to pick up some clean white and then just fill in all the areas where I know I want my white church. See what I just did? I put a bunch of blue in my white church. I don't want that. Alright, pick up some clean white and I'm going to go out this way instead of in. a line. I'm going to dip the side of the palette knife in the gray, and I want some white on it as well. So I'm going to come over here and kind of mix the gray and white. And there's actually, what I'm doing is putting just a little bit of that paint on the edge of my brush. I mean my knife. And watch what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to take it back to my drawing, and I'm going to use it to make the line. Let's see how straight I can make that. I'm not doing a great job, but I'm going to make that line there. Let me dip it in a little bit more into the gray. And get me some more paint on the edge to make this line. This one's kind of crooked, but I'm going to fix it. And this one's kind of crooked. Alright, and then we also have that line there for the roof. And then this line here for the roof. And I'm just going to make these other lines a little more prominent. Okay. Oh, and then we have another one right here. I feel like I have a crooked eye today. Alright. I'm going to let that dry a little bit, and then I'm going to come with the bottom. The bottom is going to be green, so I'm going to go into my green and gray, and I'm going to kind of mix it together because I want the green to be a really soft olive green. And the way that I usually end up making the olive green is I use green and gray, and then if it's too dark, I stick some white in it to bring the color back down to a smooth, soft color. Alright, I'll show you what I have right now so you can see. That's a little bit dark, but it's okay. And put some more white in it. Why do I stain my wood before I paint on it? I'll tell you why. Because it's an oil-based piece of wood. Stain. And sometimes it makes the paint, see how it makes the paint kind of not stick to the wood. And I really like that look. So you don't have to stain the wood if you don't want to. I feel like my green is too green, so I'm going to add some gray to it. And come back over it. It's completely a preference. If you don't want to have to stain the wood, then by all means don't. But what I do with my pieces is, alright, so what I did was I mixed some of the paint with a little bit more gray, and I just kind of did like this to give it kind of like some bushes and stuff in the front of the church. And then right here, I'm just kind of giving myself a guide to my little walkway that I always like to do on my paintings. But you don't have to do that. Okay. I also want to add some white to this down here to make it look kind of like snowy. or just to give the whole painting some, you know, just some highlights and textures. All right, a little bit more green in the top area here. It's like some trees behind the church. And then I'm going to use a little bit of white to calm that down a little bit. I'm sure you can hear the birds outside, right? That's why I love working out here. Okay, so let's go with that now. I'm going to clean my palette knife off. And I'm actually going to go to a paintbrush because I need to draw some things. And so I'm just using this old cheap paintbrush to help me draw, and I'm going to use black and gray. Actually, just gray first, I guess. And I'm going to come up here and just kind of outline things a little bit. Get a little door or a window going. Now, the paintbrush kind of digs into the paint, and this is, I actually like that because it gives the painting some texture. See, I'm picking up some of the white when I do this. And it kind of blends in and gives some texture to everything. Pick up a little bit of black. Alright, and then let me go to the doors and the windows. I'm going to make some, these are going to be pointed just because. And I'm not even pressing down. I'm just like gliding the paintbrush on top of the paint. I need to go back to the top, finish this off. And get some more gray going in there. Trying to make it look like it's on the side, like this little area right here would be on the side. Alright, this paintbrush is too fat for me and what I need right now, so I'm going to a really skinny one. I'm going to show it to you. I'm putting some black and gray paint on it. And I'm just going to give it a light touch. To kind of give it some depth. And a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for? A detail, I guess. You'll notice when you paint with wet paint, like you're painting on top of other paint that's already wet. Alright, I'm going back to my fat brush because I want to do my sidewalk. And basically all I'm doing here is I'm taking some black paint and I'm moving back and forth from side to side. I'm trying to make it not quite so black. I want it more of a light. Ugh, I'm not doing good there. I have to go on this side. Okay, that's better. I want it to look like kind of like a shadow. Okay, and I want this to go over the sides a little bit. So I'm going to come out a little bit more. Okay, so far so good. Alright, now I'm going to focus on the part that I want to look kind of like a shadow. So I'm going to take my palette knife and I'm just trying to blend a little bit of this and make it look, see, that's what I want to do. See how I'm just pulling very little of it to the side. You don't even have to do that. It'll still look good even if you don't do that. But it just adds a little bit more texture and just gives it kind of a shadowy look. Alright. This area here is where you want most of the shadow actually, because when you're looking at the from the right. So I'm going to use this painty knife and I'm going to make some highlights with the white, and I'm just making little outlines of the windows. And it's still wet, so it's kind of hard for the white to actually poke through. Probably be better to let it dry a little bit first. I'm going to make this door a little more of a solid gray than it is. Okay. I'm not really going to do that much with these. Just going to leave them. I'm going to kind of blend this in a little bit more because I don't like those streaks. Okay, now I'm going to come back with some door pieces here. I like to do the doors with that would kind of give it a little bit of an old time, what I'm doing right now. You can add like it's like some boards if you wanted to do that. All right, and then and this is actually a metallic gold, so it's really pretty. It shines really pretty. Okay, and then I'm going to add some gold, like it would be like stained glass windows, and then gold door handles. And there's stained glass, and there's some stained glass, and then there's stained glass here on the side windows. Just some little dots. Alright, I like the way it's coming out. Yeah, that looks really good. I don't like the bottom. I'm going to work with the bottom a little bit too. Alright, so the bottom is a little bit too, like there's not much going on down here. I feel like I have to put a little bit more stuff into it to make it more defined. So I'm going to add on the edges of the sidewalk. I'm going to get into the white. I'm going to add a little bit of white to make it look like there's like the snow is melting, but it hasn't melted everywhere. And it's like on the edges of the sidewalk. And then I'm going to use a little bit, since all of the green is kind of like, oops, I didn't want to do that. That's not a pretty color. I want it to stay kind of muted. So let me go back over that with some gray and some white. I just want some tones of the green to be like different. I want it to be in that olive, but I want some of it to be like, gave me a little bit more of a variety of greens going on here to give it more of that shadowy look, like that depth. See what I'm going for? I want these to look like little bushes. I don't even know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see it. Trying to get some cute little bushies going. I didn't do that on the last one, but I thought this would be cute. You see, it just adds a lot more depth to the bottom than I had before. Let's do a little bit up here in this tree. And then one last thing that you can add, if you wanted a little bit more depth in your painting, you can add a few little branches in your bushes. And I'm just using black. It really looks good when you add it to the trees. All right, I think I am done. So Now it's your turn to try yours and see how you do. Thanks for watching. And please share your masterpieces to the Facebook page. Thanks, and y'all have a great day.